Halo Studios had a very simple job with Halo Campaign Evolved. Remake Combat Evolved, respect the atmosphere, preserve the military science fiction tone, improve the graphics, tighten up some of the rougher areas, and perhaps add something worthwhile that complements the original story. They added 3 new prequel missions featuring Master Chief and Sergeant Johnson, and that was all basically there to set the stage for Lieutenant Williams. And this is a brand new female ODST who genuinely feels more like a political statement. The 3 missions here officially take place before the original campaign and were promoted as new material expanding on Chief and Johnson's story. Only they conveniently ignored all of this in the game's marketing material. It's almost as if they knew there would be some significant backlash towards this character and what they've done with this game. And before anyone deliberately misunderstands this criticism, the problem is not that Williams is a woman. Women have always existed in Halo. Cortana is arguably the most important character in the entire franchise. Foehammer was a capable pilot. Miranda Keyes commanded an entire ship and fought alongside the player. Veronica Dare was an officer operating with the ODSTs. Kat B320 was Noble Team's second in command, specializing in strategy, communications, and electronic warfare. Halo's own official character material describes Kat as tactically intelligent and central to the defense and evacuation of Reach. So this isn't some argument that women need to be removed from Halo entirely. It's about how modern writers use female characters to portray and inject their woke ideology into a story where it just simply doesn't need to be. Okay, Williams is not simply written as a competent woman. She is written as the familiar modern boss bitch character we have had shoved down our fucking throats for over a decade at this point. And I'd like to touch on what exactly a boss bitch is, because most people don't seem to clearly define what this is and why it's so fucking annoying. A boss bitch is a confident, independent, and ambitious woman who takes charge of her life, sets strong boundaries, and unapologetically goes after her goals. Now, we can also compare this to a Mary Sue, which shares some distinct characteristics. A Mary Sue is a fictional character who is unrealistically perfect, lacks meaningful flaws, and succeeds at everything without real effort or struggle. Now again, we have seen this type of character injected into every single fucking franchise at this point in the last decade, and it's just become increasingly fucking irritating every single time. Okay, this kind of character is injected into the story at the expense of everything else. This character in this game is instantly capable, instantly arrogant, instantly disrespectful, and apparently surrounded by this invisible fucking force field that prevents anyone from seriously challenging her behavior. You can't kill this person. At least it takes fucking forever to do so. And not only this character, but all of the females in this game have some specific privilege that you cannot kill these female characters. It's fucking weird. She does not enter the story as a human being. She enters as the message. Okay? The clearest example that the writing is trying to prove something is with her lines surrounding the Master Chief.
Thanks. Spartans aren't the only badasses in the UNSC.
You don't seem as impressed as the rest of your crew.
No, Sergeant Major, I'm not. Takes more than fancy armor and a good PR campaign to impress me.
Okay, so these are not subtle pieces of characterization. These scenes, it's about the writers announcing that their new female character is not impressed by the legendary male protagonist. And that is where the political propaganda begins. This is the ideological message that we're talking about, okay? It's become more important than writing a believable character here. You know it's bad when you have an ex-Bungie dev who worked on Halo 3 basically destroying this game, okay? You've got Niles Sankey, who says having women in the game is fine. Again, he references Kat in Halo Reach. I've written women in my own games. The issue is artificial writing and lack of awareness. It's clear that the devs needed to force more diversity into the story, so they made the new main character a girl, as if everything must be 50-50, evenly distributed against all logic. Then they used the excuse of lore to make a poorly written character that immediately berates the player, even though it's contextually ridiculous. And yes, it's contextually ridiculous because you have a situation here where you have a squad of ODSTs who are captured in a controlled environment by the Covenant, They should be lacking ammunition. They should be on the brink of death, basically losing soldiers at this point, and you are saved by the Master Chief, and her reaction is to immediately berate the player, immediately disrespect the Chief, and contextually it just doesn't make any fucking logical sense. You should be praising this character for saving your life at this point, for providing you with that reinforcement, and none of it makes any fucking sense. It's just a girl boss for the sake of it. She is a strong, independent woman for the sake of it, and it's at the sacrifice of the entire fucking story and just the believability of it all. Nothing makes sense. It's fucking ridiculous. The same trope has been fucking recycled in every single fucking game at this point. You've seen this with Gears E-Day. They had the balls to put that shit in the game's marketing material.
You'll meet Mags Carter, a former Gear now sweating it out at Kelowna's emulsion refinery.
Now, why don't you come talk shit when your balls drop?
It's like, wow. Over a decade of this same shit slop, and we're fucking tired of it. The end result is a cliche girl boss telling the player how terrible they are, in a game where your primarily male audience is already very skeptical of forced social politics. But the devs, or leads, never stopped and said, maybe the end result here is not achieving our goals of winning back our primary demographic. It's tone deaf on top of being poorly executed, and this hurts branding, it hurts sales, and will destroy a studio's reputation. At least whatever's left of it anyway. And that's basically what the fuck is happening here. This is just a recycled trope at this point, and we're fucking tired of it. This story didn't need to even include this, and it's basically reinforcing the perception that these entire prequel missions were set up to introduce this one character and her squad of irritating fucking garden gnomes that follow her around and just bend over. And these scenes are just the gayest fucking scenes I've seen in my life. I don't know how you come up with such retarded shit. Another quote I'd like to touch on here, which was on Twitter, was by the same guy. He says, the Halo devs have apparently decided that the majority of Marines should now be women. I'm fine with occasionally seeing a female Marine, whatever, but we're starting to enter clown world territory here. And it's like, yeah, majority of the squad here are females. Okay, you've got 3 females, 2 males in a 5-man squad, and it's like, what the fuck is that? That's not really believable, considering this wouldn't be happening in real life. You look at much of the military today, about 15% of that is female, and that's not in particular combat roles. Women cannot do this stuff. We cannot compete in the same sport for a reason, because females are biologically inferior. They're not built to do this stuff. Now you can say, okay, well, this is a joke because females have proven capable. No, that's all bullshit. The evidence says otherwise. What you're looking at is all fake news, essentially.
Fighting side by side, the final report released yesterday says men performed significantly better and got hurt less often.
The last step in earning the badge was to complete the 12-mile trek in 3 hours while carrying 70 pounds of gear. With 13 minutes to go, the captain fell to her knees in exhaustion.
You look at how much of the West has failed in recent years. The whole scenario with LA and its wildfires, largely because of a female fire department who failed to properly organize and do anything to effectively stop this catastrophe.
An apology for being absent while their homes were burning. Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today?
Kristen Crowley will lead the nation's 3rd largest firefighting force in our 2nd biggest city as a push for diversity continues. This is huge for diversity. She's not only the first woman, also the first LGBTQ person.
Perfect position to start and to prioritize that work environment, especially from the diversity, equity, and inclusion side.
The key to fixing that is having more diversity on the department, which is why they offer girls' camps and outreach.
It's going to make us a stronger team so we can ultimately serve the community in a better capacity.
The challenges of being a woman.
Size. I would say that was probably my biggest hurdle. This equipment isn't built for someone that's, 5'4".
You couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
There are countless examples of just females failing across the fucking board. because they are just biologically unable to do these jobs. Except we have this propaganda shoved into their heads through feminism that they're able to do this stuff. And we're seeing this propaganda right now in these AAA franchises. That's what makes this particularly concerning. And so again, the game wants you to understand that this woman is a tough badass, independent and completely unimpressed by male authority. It wants that idea communicated so fucking badly that it stops caring whether her behavior even makes any fucking sense at this point. Chief has helped save her and her squad. Williams and her ODSTs were captured by the Covenant, taken aboard the Triumph of Tolerance, which that is a ridiculous name in and of itself. It looks like a giant fucking dick, this ship. The writing in general here is completely fucking bizarre. Okay, this one scene I'd like to touch on next, because this has to be the gayest shit I've seen in Halo ever.
Nice work.
Thanks. Spartans aren't the only badasses in the UNSC.
Okay, the Chief and Sergeant Johnson walk into this room, and while I did enjoy much of the combat spaces in these prequel missions, the cutscenes in this are absolutely disgusting. I don't know what they were trying to do, but it's just a reflection of that awkward, gay-ass millennial writing that we're just so fucking tired of at this point. They walk into the room and they see Lieutenant Williams with her gay-ass squad lounging on the corpses of the Covenant, from brutes to hunters and shit. It's never completely explained how the fuck they even took these enemies out. They're just lounging there, and she's central to all that, like she's the main character. It's like she's sitting on a fucking throne. The way they fucking made this was that she's like the boss bitch of this entire scene, and we are awkwardly staring at this scene for about 5 seconds. What is happening here? Absolutely bizarre. And it gets even worse than that, because again, the dialogue, what is actually said at this point is completely fucking crazy, okay? And she literally volunteers, her and her squad, to sacrifice themselves to blow up this ship.
You guys get off this ship, get the nav data to the UNSC. We'll drop the shields.
Negative, Lieutenant.
And it's like you don't even need to do that. I'm sure you could blow up the generators, and there is a way you could get out of this ship without sacrificing yourself, but at this point she's just volunteered herself and her crew, and they just willingly just bob along with it like it's no issue. Like it's not... What is this? It's... wow.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Me?
There it goes. What the fuck?
Did she even ask if they wanted to sacrifice themselves? Like how do you just volunteer your entire squad to go down with the ship? And they just willingly throw themselves into this suicide run. It's not even explained why they all need to be there and why this job couldn't be done by one person. And what makes this really odd is Sergeant Johnson is like, yes, let it happen. This is Marvel style, really silly comedy going on here, and the entire story is just not to be taken seriously. And whatever foundation for an interesting character that they could have developed on, this studio just completely dropped the ball in like every area they could have. She could have been traumatized by whatever happened leading up to this event where they got captured. She could have been furious with herself for allowing her squad to be captured. She could have been distrusted. She could have distrusted the Spartan program for legitimate military or political reasons. She could have even resented the way Spartans receive the glory while regular soldiers die anonymously by the thousands. None of this backstory is brought to life here, and she just has this really unnecessary feud with the Chief for no explained reason. And people have started to try and explain this in the discourse, and people have said that the ODSTs historically have hated the Spartans for multiple reasons, whether it's due to propaganda, whether it's due to resources, and just the fact that these are biologically superior soldiers. Except none of this argument has any real credibility when you play Halo 2 and Halo 3 You get to see the relationship with the ODSTs and the Spartans, and there didn't seem to be any particular feud between the two. They understood the mission at hand, and they worked together to complete the mission in order to protect humanity, to achieve the greater whole. And again, just looking back at this comedy writing that we've got here, even the setting reinforces just how stupid everything is going on here. If this is supposed to be a hunting ground and you have captured ODSTs, it's a really generic environment as well. What we have here is just a sandy dune with some Covenant structures here and there. And it's a really awkward mix between sandy canyon type environment and this Covenant shiny, greasy purples. There's just so much more you could have done with this entire thing here. You could have thrown these ODSTs on the planet nearby, and the setting itself could have been this really dense, humid jungle type environment, and it could feel like a real hunting ground. You could have explored ideas like how the ODSTs again are running low on ammo and resources. Maybe they're losing people, reinforcing the idea that they're desperate to survive and they are actually being hunted. You could have introduced some really unique, cool enemy characters into this area as well. You could have had an elite Spec Ops unit hunting them, really fleshed out the Prophet. Maybe he orchestrated this whole hunting ground and the events leading up to what would eventually be Lieutenant Williams dying and Chief being unable to protect them. And that would have been a much more interesting story there. Except what we have here is this Marvel-style comedy where these prequel missions were essentially set up to showcase this boss bitch, this Mary Sue, who is an independent, all-round capable leader that just doesn't accept any male authority. This is cringe. It's been overplayed at this point, and it just really goes to show how creatively tapped out these people are in the studio. It's also a reflection of the culture in the studio. When you have an entire development team who not only do we know didn't build this game from the ground up, they have multiple studios involved in the development process for building this garbage. Because they can't do the work themselves. They are incompetent. This project was put together, was manufactured by different people, different studios and contractors and such, and that's why this entire project feels really disconnected, unfinished, in terms of gameplay, level design, in terms of the story, and it's missing much of that Bungie era DNA. From Easter eggs, from character design, yeah, none of this project really makes any sense. And again, looking at that change in studio culture, the people who gave you that Bungie era legacy, that Halo saga, was all put together by mostly men in a patriarchal environment. What we have now is a progressive studio. Their philosophies around this work environment all basically geared towards gender equality. Everything needs to be split 50-50. Females are somehow equally capable despite the obvious historical context. Diversity, equality, inclusive environments all seem to be priorities within these development teams. This entire worldview is the problem with modern gaming. And these are the same people who gave you all of that mess for the last decade at this point, from Halo 4 onwards. And it's been an entire mess. The TV show. We have seen way more damage to this franchise prior to this. I don't understand why everyone's blown up suddenly over this one boss bitch. This has been a problem for the last decade in this franchise, and they've done significantly more damaging things. You look back at the Halo TV show, they effectively stripped the Chief of his suit entirely, revealed his face, and turned the whole thing into a love drama. The games basically turned Cortana and Chief's relationship into a love story while simultaneously emasculating the Chief and making him this soft, weirdo, talkative, emotional husk of a character. None of it resonates with the audience. Everything was extremely alien to the fan base. And so coming into this remake, did anyone truly expect this environment to do the bare minimum and faithfully remake an over a decade-old game at this point without injecting in their progressive worldview? It's not happening, and these are the results of that. So again, Williams is protected by the script. This is a reoccurring problem with the modern boss bitch character. It's allowed to insult people. It's allowed to challenge authority and behave like an arrogant cunt all the time. And the story rarely allows any of that to have any repercussions on the character. It doesn't allow that to damage her credibility. Every flaw with this character is secretly treated as another strength. She is rude because she is fearless. She is dismissive because she is independent. She refuses to respect the chief because she is an equally competent leader. She takes enormous risks because she is brave and stunning. Everything bends back around to tell us how impressive she is. But it's not character development. A properly written, arrogant character would experience consequences for behaving in such a manner. Perhaps contempt for Spartans cause her to underestimate the chief. Perhaps her pride creates friction within her squad. Perhaps one of her decisions gets somebody killed. Perhaps she struggles to admit she actually needs the chief for help. None of these ideas are even remotely explored within these 3 prequel missions. This reinforces the fact that none of this is believable. None of this is believable. Instead, the script places her in opposition to Chief while constantly forcing us to admire her for what she's doing. She is not allowed to look terrified. She is not allowed to look weak. She is not allowed to seem genuinely outmatched. When you have a female sitting on the corpse of a hunter, which is the toughest enemy in the game, completely missing any of the context for how she even took out that hunter. This game just genuinely looks like a fantasy. Again, that's all reinforced by the atmosphere, the environment, the overly colorful, playful nature of the environment with these really vibrant colors. Just really goes to show the stupidity within the studio making these games. And again, this studio has a massive history with emasculating the chief. This is what they do. Again, stripped him of his armor, completely beat him up in Halo Infinite, had him literally tossed around like a fucking ragdoll, even though it makes logically no sense to be able to lift an 1,000-pound 7'2" super soldier like that. It's genuinely really crazy what they've done to this franchise. The Master Chief is not just another character in this situation. He is the player. By Bungie's standard, they created this player to be a quiet, giant husk for the player to navigate the world in, as stated by Joe Staten. That relationship is fundamental to the combat evolved. Okay, Chief has a personality, but Bungie deliberately kept him restrained. In this game, he is constantly speaking, and this is again 343 era dialogue and story writing design. I don't know why the Chief is constantly fucking speaking all the time in this. And again, he has a really playful nature with how he speaks with Johnson in these prequel missions. None of it is reflective of Combat Evolved or his personality. He does not constantly need to explain his emotions through fucking speaking. And this seems to be a common trope, I guess, with the female developers in these studios. They love to reveal people's faces. Every character in the story needs to look really fleshed out, like a celebrity. You look at Lieutenant Williams' squad, and you see the same problem there. None of them look like they're wearing any tactical gear, despite being fucking ODSTs. ODSTs are fucking meant to be wearing helmets, which completely conceal their face. They have a visor and shit. None of that is here. Are these ODSTs? What the fuck is this? They look like they're trying to be Rambos. It's like, what is this? And so Chief, again, they're falling into the trap of making Chief constantly speak. And this happens all the time in-game.
Let's get to the bridge.
Affirmative. Exit should be this way.
It's really annoying. Again, just ignoring that the player is supposed to occupy the Chief in the armor. So when Williams repeatedly mocks the Chief, the dialogue is also aimed at the person playing the game. You have spent these entire missions fighting the Covenant forces, trying to rescue these prisoners and completing objectives, only for this newly introduced character to appear and tell you that Spartans are basically overrated. And this is why the dialogue persistently irritates people. Are we trying to create an impressive character, or are we just trying to create someone here who really just pisses people off? It feels as though the writers are scolding the audience for liking the Chief. The message becomes, you think Spartans are impressive? Our character does not. It's like, who gives a shit about this character? Who even are you? People want to experience the power fantasy of the Master Chief. He is the focus of this game. All of this is just an unbelievably strange attitude to insert into a remake of a fucking game, which, mind you, this is their second attempt at a remake of the first game. I've said this before, this is complete. You haven't seen this anywhere else in gaming history or in film. Who even remakes a game a second time? Again, reflection of the idiotic people bringing this to you. and they expect you to sit through another fucking 10 years of remakes because they set out to remake the entire trilogy. And I don't know about you, but I definitely don't want them touching this entire franchise. After this remake, they need to just leave. They need to be shut down. We need to see mass layoffs. Yeah, enough is enough. I don't understand why we need to consistently see female characters in these modern games consistently stand on the central character's reputation to gain height. This has been a problem since Halo 4. We had Sarah Palmer in that game, who was exactly, again, a reflection of this boss bitch character. Halo 5, the squad had to be split 50-50 between male and females. And the game had problems with the power fantasy. I don't know why the fuck we keep doing this. And again, Halo Infinite, it couldn't help itself but, again, rely on the constant trope that there needs to be some kind of female where there doesn't need to be. Injecting the first female villain into the game. It's just undeniably clear that progressivism needs to end in this franchise, because you cannot make a Halo game with this at all.
Nice work.
Thanks. Spartans aren't the only badasses in the UNSC. So, did you take out the Prophet?
The line about Spartans not being the only badasses in the UNSC might be one of the most cringiest pieces of dialogue in this entire remake. Not only that, but once she said that, she approaches the chief as she's climbing down the hunter she just took out. And this is a 5-foot woman who, as you can see, does not have the muscle mass or the bone density to be able to even survive in this arena. Fuck knows how she took out the hunter, but it's just none of it is believable. All of this is just signaling that this studio is extremely late in following trends, because again, this is a trope that has been shoved down the viewer's face for over 15 years at this point, and this would have been better received about 15 years ago. That's how delayed this studio is when it comes to delivering for this franchise. They are notoriously slow in delivering the content to meeting the expectations of the audience with any mainline Halo entry ever since they've taken over, since Bungie. And now, again, this audience have now seen this trope repeatedly recycled into many other franchises in the course of over 15 years. That hyper-competent woman who enters an established franchise, who is forced in there through DEI, while simultaneously the male protagonist is mocked or diminished. The new character is, again, immediately presented as morally sharper. Her arrogance is framed as confidence. Her hostility is framed as independence. The audience is expected, is forced to admire her before the story has given them reason to do so. And when all of this is presented to the viewer and they reject the character, the discussion immediately becomes an argument about sexism rather than writing. This is an exhausted cycle, and I think we're all sick and tired of seeing it at this point. Studios keep producing the same character and then acting surprised when audiences recognize the template, this familiar pipeline that, again, we've seen shut out into every single franchise at this point. Williams feels designed by people who are several years behind in terms of trends and the culture. They apparently believe that an aggressively unimpressed female character still feels subversive. It does not. This all feels corporate, it feels focus tested. It feels like a group of focus testers came together and they're like, how do we diversify this game in order to meet these corporate checkboxes we have? Inserting this character into a remake is essentially the problem here, because it didn't need to be in this at all. It's trying to correct a game that doesn't need to be corrected. It's trying to force a progressive worldview, which ultimately the audience finds repulsive. And so essentially, this is gentrification of the franchise. They are trying to push out the old and insert the new. They are rebuilding one of the most important shooters ever made and using the opportunity to insert a modern trope into the foundations of that. Nobody played Combat Evolved and wondered why the Master Chief had not been mocked enough by a sarcastic bitch. And nobody looked at the original campaign and thought its greatest missing ingredients was a character questioning Chief's ability to do his fucking job and whether or not they thought he was impressive enough. It's like, what the fuck is this writing? The additions should deepen Combat Evolved. Instead, they expose the differences between Bungie's storytelling instincts and Halo Studios' current priorities, which are clearly to insert politics, gender inclusive problems into a remake where it just doesn't need to be. And so essentially the political messaging here damages the existing story. It's not simply women can be soldiers. Okay, Halo established that decades ago. Again, it already had female soldiers in its games. It had it in Halo 2, Halo 3, ODST, you name it, and in Reach. The deeper messaging here is that the established masculine hero must be questioned. He must be humbled, or he must be treated with suspicion before the new female character can be validated. The Chief's competence is apparently a threat to Williams' relevance. So the script basically attempts to redistribute that admiration. It cannot simply add another capable soldier to the universe. It has to tell us that the existing hero is overrated. That is why the character feels forced. The writers are not only introducing Williams, they are renegotiating with the audience's relationship with the Chief. His armor becomes a fancy armor. His legendary reputation becomes a PR campaign. His status as humanity's greatest soldier becomes something the enlightened new character can see through. But the game itself proves Williams wrong almost immediately. Again, it doesn't exactly show us why Williams is a capable character. She's just there. There is no context, there is no backstory to how she became a lieutenant. There is no context into how she's taking out these strong enemies like the brutes or the hunters. She's just thrown into this fucking universe, and you just have to pretend that she's this competent badass, and none of it makes any sense. She just has this really irritating high-pitched voice. You combine that with her 5-foot stature, and you just cannot take this fucking character seriously. Chief saves people. Chief completes the impossible mission. Chief repeatedly defeats the Covenant forces. That all overwhelms the ordinary soldiers, okay? At no point will you ever see a hunter taken out by a regular squad of Marines. So again, this all just looks really fucking dumb. This entire propaganda trips over the reality of the gameplay itself. But again, Lieutenant Williams is not ruining Halo because she's a female. She is damaging the story because she represents a style of writing that confuses hostility with strength, and it's trying to insert political messaging with the character while simultaneously emasculating the Chief, the central protagonist in the game. And again, the entire thing just feels cheap. It's not believable. And you've created a character here that no one likes, no one wants to like, no one wants to see. And so the audience reject this character. And what makes this increasingly concerning is because the studio couldn't realize this is what was going to happen. And so again, all of this is forced into the game where it doesn't need to be. And they've sold this on the PS5 as if it's going to do any justice. No one has played this on the PlayStation. As far as I've seen, sales have been low. Okay, this game has failed. Like I've said, this game is going to die within a week. It's a campaign-only experience, and there are significant problems elsewhere in this game, from gameplay, from the art style, from the cinematics. I will be going into more depth with the rest of that. I will be also looking at the rest of the characters in this game that all deserve their own video, essentially. But this is a massive problem in this franchise, and it needs to be discussed, and it needs to stop. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you for watching. I shall see you in the next one.